Well, welcome to the November 5th, 2024 DVMUG Zoom meeting. I'm Lee Wagner. I'll be hosting this meeting. We'll follow the customary format of news, followed by videos, miscellany, questions and answers, and social hours. This week's news. This week we've got three news items. This first item, John first noted to us all on the BBS on the first about the Apple's fourth quarter results, and we'll mention a little more about that. Second item, judge awards an Apple a token $250 in its lawsuit against Massimo. And Apple still suppresses employees discussing pay equity, says Labor Board. This has been posted on the BBS, and the URLs are clickable. So the following are synopses on these news items. Apple reported its financial results on Thursday for its fourth quarter fiscal year, which ended on September 28th. Revenue was $94.9 billion, up 6% versus the year ago quarter, and an all-time fourth quarter record. The one twist is that Apple recognized a one-time charge of $10.2 billion related to the Apple finally having lost a long-time tax case in the European Union. That's a lot of cash, and it bit into Apple's profit for the quarter. This article contains the complete transcripts of Apple's financial analysis since 2020, which is presented in chart form and is a very interesting study. And those of you who may have noted that John had this on earlier but didn't follow through, that study is really quite interesting about the various sections of Apple, how they fit into the picture. Raise any comments or questions? Okay, we'll go on to the next item. So judge awards Apple a
I,
token
I have a
$250.
question about the last thing. The Apple, their fourth quarter is now, right? So their year starts in October. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess I
Yes,
don't know in their fiscal year.
um,
Yes, it is. October.
Okay, and what was the 10 billion about? There was a settlement of a lawsuit in Europe.
That's correct.
Europe fined them $10 billion.
Uh-huh.
that was the Irish tax loophole thing they got. They weren't paying taxes. They were keeping it in Ireland. They had to pay up.
It was with the complicity of the Irish government. So
Right.
they both got caught with their hands in the dirty water.
So the Irish government gets the 10 billion. It's not a fine.
But Ireland originally set it up so that they could
Right.
get Apple there. And the European Union ruled that what they did was illegal. So the EU wants that money.
Okay, I'll read up on it.
Okay, moving on. A Delaware jury has found smartwatch maker Massimo guilty of infringing Apple's Apple Watch patents on health technology, but limited it to only older smartwatch models that are no longer sold, and awarded the firm the least damages it could legally could. Apple said in a statement that it was pleased that the ruling will protect the innovations we advance on behalf of our customers, but Massimo said Apple primarily sought an injunction against Massimo's current products, and the jury's verdict is a victory for Massimo on that issue. So both sides claiming victory in the suit.
And how much do the lawyers make on that deal?
Yeah. In this case, Massimo manufactures devices that measure blood oxygen. And they found that Apple, in its watch with its oxygen sensor, violated their patent rights. And Massimo does make these little things that when you're in the hospital, they just tape them onto your finger. It has a little LED and then a photo sensor that actually calculates the amount of oxygen in your blood. So the new Apple Watches do not have the feature for blood oxygen any longer, whereas mine, which is a 9, I think it's a 9, does have that. So the Massimo made some improvements apparently that tended to, in a minor fashion, infringe on Apple's new developments. So Apple said, well, two can play at this game. We want to protect our stuff too. I think it's going to work out in the next year or so, and you'll see that feature back in watches. Somebody wants some money.
Interesting how those big fellows can get after each other.
That blood oxygen reader is really important. I mean, I have it on my watch too. And for me, I check it all the time because I've got an issue with blood oxygen dropping. So it really works well because I always check it against a pulse oximeter and it's accurate.
Ah. Mm-hmm. Anything further? Moving on. Apple still suppresses employees discussing pay equity, says the Labor Board, according to Apple Insider's Charles Martin. The U.S. National Labor Relations Board is again accusing Apple management of illegally deterring employee discussions of pay and bias issues, part of a general anti-union campaign by the iPhone maker. The board also accuses Apple of barring workers from creating a channel in the workplace messaging app Slack to discuss pay inequities and performance incentives. Apple says we strongly disagree with these claims and will continue to share the facts at the hearing. So I guess Apple is not wanting to get too much employee involvement in their decisions.
Never has.
Uh-huh. Moving on to the videos. This video has been put on the bulletin board service in a PDF form, so the URLs are clickable. First video is by Gary Rosenzweig, MacMost, how to record calls on an iPhone.
This is Gary with MacMost. Let's look at how to record phone calls on your iPhone. So a new feature on the iPhone in iOS 18.1 is the ability to easily record phone calls. Not only that, but you get a transcript as well. But it's important to realize you need version 18.1 for this to work. It's a new feature there. Now this works the same whether you place a call or receive a call. So let's say you place a call on your iPhone and then you're on a phone call with somebody just as you normally would be. Notice the little icon here at the top left. This button allows you to start recording the call. As soon as you tap it, it will start a countdown to begin recording. At the end of that countdown, it's going to play an automatic message telling the other person that the call is being recorded, and then from that point on, it's recorded. Let's give it a try. You can see that countdown there.
This call will be recorded.
And now, from this point on, the call is being recorded. You'll see this little indicator here showing you the waveform and also a stop button to stop recording and the time of the recording. By the way, if you find these videos useful, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You could read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. If you tap this somewhere right in the middle here, it actually goes to the Notes app. The recording is actually going to a new note and it's showing up there as a recording in iPhone. You can use this note to take notes. So you're still on the call here. You could see at the top in the dynamic island, the phone call duration and the waveform there. You could tap here and you can take some notes as you're talking to the person on the phone. You can tap in the dynamic island to go back to the phone app and you can tap on the waveform to go to notes. So when you're done with the recording, you can tap stop here, or you can just end the phone call. Ending the phone call naturally ends the recording. So you can end the recording a little early.
This call is no longer being recorded.
And then you can end the call after that if you like. It takes you automatically to the Notes app where you see the recording there in the note. There's a convenient play button, but you could also tap on it and it will bring up this whole interface here where it shows you the transcript. It even knows when you were talking versus the other person. You can play, you've got convenient buttons to jump forward and back, and you also can tap here and switch from the transcript to this waveform here. So you can kind of drag this like that to go to another part of the call. In the transcript, you can tap anywhere and it will start playing from that point. So it follows along with the transcript as the audio is playing and vice versa. You can even search in the transcript for something if you like. And you've got this button up here at the top right, and you can copy the entire transcript, paste it into another app if you like. You can also save the audio of the transcript out as a file or share it directly. So you could say email it to someone. You could see there's an audio file attached here. To dismiss the listing here, you can drag down and you get back to the note. Notice here, if you have Apple Intelligence turned on, you also get a preview summary of the transcript in the note. You can also tap and hold the transcript here and copy it. So if you don't want to leave this transcript in a note all by itself, you could say paste it into another note where you store some transcripts. The transcript is being provided by your device using AI, so it's not going to be perfect. It does seem to work pretty well, however, at least to give you an idea of where in the transcript you should go looking for some information. And then you could jump to that portion and listen to what is actually said. So this is a cool new feature. I particularly like the idea that you could stop and start the transcript when you want. So if somebody is, say, helping you out over the phone and they're about to give you some instructions, you can record just that portion and then stop. And then if they're going to give you more instructions later, you can record that portion as well. It could be very useful for that. So check it out. And like with a lot of features, it's useful to try this before you need it. So if you think this is something you'll use, perhaps call a friend or family member and test it out with them. Try recording them and just see how it works, see how you can go between notes and the phone app and how you can look at the transcript later on. So then later on, when you need this feature, you already know how to use it. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Comments or questions?
Yeah, in California, don't try to avoid the war.
What was the comment in California?
California, don't try to avoid the warning that it's being recorded.
Oh, yeah, no.
California is a two-party state. There's some states that are one party and you don't have to give a warning. You can do it surreptitiously. California isn't one of them.
Is it a misdemeanor or a felony?
It used to be only a misdemeanor, but they've amended it now. It can be either one.
Wobbler.
Yeah.
I didn't see in this presentation where it was optional whether or not you got the warning. It looked to me like you always got the warning.
Looks like it. But somebody'd come up with a way around it, I'm sure.
Probably.
Well, it looks like a handy feature. You know, somebody may be wanting to give you some detailed directions, or maybe Aunt Matilda wants to give you a recipe for her rhubarb pie, something like that.
What if you don't like rhubarb?
Rhubarb.
Eh.
I've never tasted a rhrbarb pie.
Strawberry rhubarb,
even
no,
better.
it's delicious.
I have, and
Yes.
they're delicious.
Got to put strawberries in there.
Yep.
Right.
The
My wife
strawberries are
likes it, I
sweet.
don't.
The rhubarb is tart.
My
And we
wife
can
likes
get that in
rhubarb
our,
pie.
You should go
There,
on
and
YouTube and watch the video about Barbara's rhubarb cake. It's a rap song and it's in German, but it's
Oh
hilarious.
my. Oh my. All right, so we move on. This is Tom Wells from Proper Honest Tech.
iOS 18 has been out for a while now. I made a video all about it, which you should check out if you've not already. But as ever with a new operating system, we're just scratching the surface in these early videos. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 10 more amazing things that your iPhone can do now thanks to iOS 18. Okay, let's get into it. You can now perform both maths and currency conversions directly in the composition screen of apps like Messages or Mail. While this might not sound like a big deal, it's actually really useful. For example, let's say that I'm messaging a friend to let them know the total cost of some flights that I've booked and paid for, and I want to tell them how much they owe me. Instead of using a calculator, I can just type the total cost and then write /2 equals to divide that amount by 2. As you can see, when I do this, the iPhone recognizes that I'm trying to do some maths, and the menu bar above the keyboard provides a few different options. I can choose to either input just the result or include the full equation, which shows the breakdown of how I arrived at the number. Next, I can type the amount followed by the pound sign and press equals, and you'll notice that my phone assumes that I might want to convert this amount into another currency. In my case, it defaults to US dollars. I'm not sure if this is a system-wide default when using pounds or if the phone has learned from my frequent conversions between GBP and USD. Either way, I can choose to include either the full conversion or just the converted amount in my message. And just to show you, this works in email too. In fact, I think this feature is baked into the text composition part of your phone. So theoretically, it should work anywhere that you need to input text. It might not sound like the most exciting feature, but if you frequently deal with currency conversions or calculations in your daily work, this could be a real game changer for you. Your iPhone's lock screen has a camera button that when pressed and held opens the camera. The problem is that this will either open the default camera mode or the last camera mode that you used. Let's say that you always want it to open in selfie mode. Up until iOS 18, there hasn't been a way to do this, but now you can set it up with a few simple steps. First, we need to create a shortcut that opens the camera in a specific mode. To do this, open the Shortcuts app on your iPhone. If you don't have the Shortcuts app installed, head to the App Store and download it. Next, tap the plus button in the top right corner to create a new shortcut. In the Search Actions field, type in Camera. You'll see an option called Open Camera that lets you choose which mode the camera will open in. For this example, we'll select Selfie, but you could also choose Video Mode, Portrait Mode, Cinematic Mode, whatever you like really. Once you've selected the desired mode, tap the little downward arrow at the top of the screen and choose Rename. I'll name this shortcut Selfie and then tap Done to save it. Now if you tap on the shortcut, you'll see that it opens the camera in selfie mode just as we want. Next, to add this shortcut to the lock screen, lock your phone and tap once to wake it up. Then tap and hold until you see the Customize button. Tap on this, then choose Lock Screen. Currently, the camera button at the bottom right of my screen is set to the default option, so I'll tap the minus button to remove it. Now tap the plus button to add a new control. Scroll down until you see Shortcuts and select the Shortcut Control option. This will allow you to choose one of the shortcuts that you've already created. Tap on Choose, then select the Selfie shortcut from your list. Tap to exit that screen and then tap Done to save your changes. Now, every time that you tap and hold on the camera button from your lock screen, the camera will automatically open in selfie mode instead of the default mode. If you experience motion sickness when trying to use your iPhone as a passenger in a car, like my wife does, iOS 18 has a feature that could really help. Head to Settings, select Accessibility, tap Motion, and then choose Show Vehicle Motion Cues. By default, this is set to automatic, which means that your phone will try to intelligently detect if you're in a car based on its motion, but you can also choose to manually enable or disable this feature if you prefer. When enabled, you'll notice small dots appear around the edge of the screen, which move in relation to the motion of your phone. The idea is that these dots help reduce or even eliminate the motion sickness that you might feel while using your phone as a passenger without interrupting what you're doing. I'm lucky enough that I don't suffer from motion sickness myself, so I haven't been able to test this feature firsthand, although my wife does seem to think that it works for her. If you've tried this one out, let me know in the comments if it's been helpful for you. So, a really interesting new accessibility feature in iOS 18 called Vocal Shortcuts. To set it up, open Settings, then choose Accessibility and scroll down to the Speech section. Tap on Vocal Shortcuts. If you're doing this for the first time, you'll only see the option to set up a vocal shortcut, so tap on that. Your phone will provide a bit of information about what you're about to do. Just tap continue to proceed. The way that these shortcuts work is really easy. You choose a specific action for your phone to carry out whenever you say a particular phrase. You'll record yourself saying the phrase 3 times so that your phone knows to listen specifically for your voice. You can choose from a variety of actions, including system actions, accessibility actions, and at the top, you'll find shortcuts. While we won't go into detail about shortcuts in this video, if you're already familiar with them, you'll know that this makes the vocal shortcuts feature really powerful. You can create your own custom shortcuts to do pretty much anything on your phone and then trigger them with a voice command. For this example, I'll go to the system section and choose screenshot from the list. Next, I'll type in the phrase that I want to trigger the screenshot action. You can be as creative or as straightforward as you like here. I'm going to keep it simple and use the phrase take a screenshot. After pressing go in the bottom right, my phone will prompt me to say the phrase 3 times in a row. Each time that you say the phrase, wait for the green tick to confirm that your phone has recognized it before you repeat. You don't need to press anything while this is happening. Once your phone successfully captures the phrase, you can either add another shortcut or press continue. You'll notice that the vocal shortcuts menu page has now changed and your phone's microphone icon is on. This means that your phone is constantly listening for your specific phrase. If you want to disable this feature, you can do so by turning off vocal shortcuts, but do keep in mind that with this disabled, your phone won't be listening and so your vocal shortcuts won't work. I'm going to switch mine back on and say take a screenshot. You'll see that my phone recognizes the phrase and performs the action. If you're someone who saves a lot of photos from the internet to your photo library, you've probably experienced the frustration of saving a photo with an old date in the metadata. You then go to find it in your library only to realize it's nowhere to be found. Well, technically it is there. It's just probably right at the top of your library. This happens because the old date in the photo's metadata means it gets stored in your library based on when the image was originally captured rather than when you added it. In iOS 18, you can easily fix this. Tap the up-down arrow in the bottom left of the Photos app, and instead of choosing Sort by Date Captured, which is the default, select Sort by Recently Added. This way, your library will be much better organized. Photos that you capture will still appear in the correct chronological order, but any photos that you save from the web will show up based on the date that you saved them, regardless of when they were originally created. Calendar app, iOS 18 introduces several new view options. Here I'm looking at the month view, and just to the left of the magnifying glass at the top, you'll notice the view options button. You can now choose from a few different layouts. First, there's compact, which gives you a clear overview of the dates in the month with a small bar underneath each date indicating how much activity is scheduled, but it doesn't show the specific events. Then there's stacked, which looks similar to compact, but gives you a bit more detail, showing how many events are scheduled on each day. If you select details, you'll see fewer dates in the month, but much more information about the specific events that you've got scheduled. Finally, there's list view, which is more like the traditional calendar view, with the top part showing a compact version of the calendar and your upcoming events listed underneath. If you tap into a specific day, you have even more options. Using the same button, you can choose to view a single day, a multi-day view, which shows you today and tomorrow side by side, or switch back to list view. When recording video in iOS 18, you'll notice a pause button in the bottom left of the screen. If you press this, the pause button changes to a record button, allowing you to reposition your phone and then hit record again to pick up exactly where you left off. You can repeat this process as many times as you like, which means you could capture multiple shots seamlessly without having to edit them into one long clip during post-processing. The Photos app has had a complete redesign in iOS 18. I made a video all about it, and I received a lot of comments from people wishing that Apple had left it as it was. I actually really like the redesign, but I think it's really important to share a tip that many people aren't aware of: the ability to reorganize and remove items within the Photos app. So to do this, scroll all the way to the bottom of the Photos app, where you'll find an option called Customize and Reorder. Tap on it and you'll see a list of all the different collections available in your Photos app. If there's anything that you don't want, simply press the blue tick box to remove it. Likewise, if there's something that you'd like to feature more prominently at the top, Tap and hold the drag bar to the right of the item and move it up to the top. If there's something you still want to keep, but you don't want to see it as often, you can drag it down to the bottom. I definitely recommend spending a bit of time doing this because you'll find that the Photos app becomes much easier to navigate once you've got it organized the way that you like it. If you're enjoying the content here, why not sign up for my weekly newsletter, which is all about tech news and tips delivered free to your inbox each Friday. Sign up via the QR code on screen or the link in the description. iOS 18 has brought some changes to the way that links work in the Messages app. So here I've shared a link to a website from Safari, and you can see that it shows up as a preview. If I tap on the preview, I get a couple of options. I can copy the link or choose Convert to Text Link. If I select that, the preview disappears and the link shows up as plain text. But if you change your mind and want the preview back, just tap on the link again, choose Select All, and then Show Link Preview to return it to its original form. You can also tap on the preview again to choose Customize, where you'll find a few different styling options to personalize how the link appears. Also, and this feature isn't exclusive to iOS 18, it's been around for a while now. If you share something from Safari to Messages by tapping the Share button at the bottom and choosing Messages, the preview will appear just as we saw earlier. But here's a handy tip. If you select a passage of text in an article first and then press the Share button, the preview in Messages will not only include a link to the article, but it will also quote the selected text. As before, you can customize this, choosing to add or remove the quote as you see fit. For years, iPhone owners have wanted T9 dialing on the iPhone, and with iOS 18, Apple has finally delivered. Now, for example, if you wanted to contact a friend called John, you can open the phone app, tap on the keypad and type 5646. Your iPhone will recognize that you're likely trying to contact John and will show any matching contacts. From there, you can simply tap on the contact to dial their number. So there you go, 10 more amazing things that your iPhone can do with iOS 18. Stick around if you're interested in learning even more. I've got another one of these videos on the way soon.
I'll answer questions.
I couldn't find on my phone the little up arrow and down arrow.
You have to first scroll, move the thing down so that the complete screen is filled with the pictures, and then it'll show up.
Okay, I'm trying it.
Exactly.
If you go all the way down, it bypasses that and gets to another section, right?
No, what you want to do is slide it down so that the screen is full of the all of your images. And then at the bottom you see years, months, and the arrows are on the left.
Found it. Thank you.
The
That
ability
video was
to-
full of great tips that I've already forgotten what they were. So luckily, well, we have this video to screen again. I have this video to screen again. I
Well,
think
the one tip about being able to see recent instead of by the picture taken date is the one that will be useful for me.
Me too.
how do you get pictures that you add into photos?
Somebody sends it in a message, for example.
And it automatically goes into photos?
No.
There's a little symbol to the right of a picture that somebody texts you that will put it directly into photos.
Okay.
Right.
When I started using WhatsApp, any image that somebody had in a message would automatically go into my photos, and it would drive me nuts until I figured out there was a setting in WhatsApp, or I think it was in WhatsApp, to stop that happening, because I was getting all this random stuff in my photo collection.
Didn't it ask you when you first started using WhatsApp for permission to access your photos? It must have. It had to have asked you.
I don't remember.
That's what happened. He
Yeah.
gave permission for WhatsApp to access photos.
Any program that wants to access to send photos, or they have to ask permission first.
All right, moving on. Third video is from Ellen Sweeney, Troubleshooting Siri, Steps to Reset, Retrain, and Improve Siri.
The more we continue to use Siri, the better it gets at recognizing your voice and the preferences for what you're asking. However, if you're noticing that Siri isn't working well, doesn't recognize your voice, or constantly gives you a poor experience, this video tutorial is for you. Let's learn how to reset and retrain Siri. Welcome to Ellen's Tips for iOS, where I help seniors master their iPhones and iPads. If you find the video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. To reset Siri on your iPhone or iPad, you'll want to open the Settings app, scroll down until you see Siri. Go ahead and tap on that. Now you're going to tap on Talk to Siri. Once we do that, we're going to select the off section so that there's a check mark by that. And now we've turned off Siri, so Siri will no longer receive commands. Our next step is going to be turning off dictation. Dictation and Siri work hand in hand. If you're new to dictation, you should know that it allows you to enter text using your voice when you don't want to use the keyboard on the screen. To use dictation, you'll tap the microphone near the text field and begin speaking. Let me show you how that works. I'm going to open the Messages app. I'm going to tap, I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to tap on a new message. I'm going to tap into the text field, and I'm going to tap on the microphone in this lower right corner. As soon as I do, once I begin speaking, the microphone picks everything up and it dictates everything onto the screen for me. I'm going to stop that for now, and I'm going to cancel that and swipe out of Messages. Since our goal is to reset Siri, let's deactivate dictation so that the data it's collected is deleted. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and open the Settings app on your iPhone or your iPad. We're going to scroll down and tap on General. We're going to scroll down and tap on Keyboard. And now we're going to locate Enable Dictation, and we're going to toggle that switch off. So I'll do that. And then you have to confirm that. So I'll go ahead and say turn off dictation. And that's all you need to do. The next step in this process is to delete your Siri history and data. Siri and dictation data of your voice commands are stored on your device or Apple servers to offer an improved and personalized experience. To complete the reset process, you should delete this data so you can start fresh. And to do that, we'll go back and we'll open the Settings app. And you can do this on your iPhone or iPad. Scroll down until you see Siri. Go ahead and tap on that. Now we're going to scroll down until we see Siri and dictation history. I'm going to tap on that. And now I'm going to go ahead and tap Delete Siri and Dictation History. I'm going to have to confirm that, so I'll go ahead and tap that again to confirm that. And then once we've completed those steps, it's time to set up Siri again. So now we're going to start the process of setting Siri up again. And to do that, we probably should restart our iPhone before we do anything. There are a couple of ways to do this. You can press and hold on the power button and volume up button at the same time. but a lot of people have a hard time doing that. So the easiest way for seniors would be to open the Settings app, tap on General, scroll to the bottom, tap on Shutdown. I can show you that, and then slide to Power Off. I'm going to cancel that, but if you've done that and you've powered the device off, then all you have to do to power it back on is to hold the side button or the power button on the side of your iPhone for about 15 seconds, and that will restart your device. So let's come back out of that. And so we've restarted our iPhone. The next part of the process is we want to set up Siri again. So we're going to go back to the Settings app. We're going to tap on that. We're going to locate Siri and tap on Siri. And now we're going to choose where we turned off Talk to Siri. We're going to toggle that on. And then you can choose either Siri or Hey Siri or just Hey Siri. I'm going to choose Siri or Hey Siri. And once I do, now it's going to come up and I have to go ahead and follow the instructions on screen. So I'll tap on Continue, and the iPhone is going to give me some prompts to use. So I'm going to tap Continue, and then I'll begin. Siri, how's the weather? Hey Siri, send a message. Siri, set a timer for 3 minutes. Hey Siri, get directions home. Siri, play some music. And so now I'm finished with the process. You may want to do this in a quiet setting so that Siri can better hear your voice. But that's pretty much it for setting up Siri without having any difficulties resetting and retraining Siri. If you're still having problems with Siri, say maybe you're not hearing Siri speak back to you when you give it a prompt, the first thing you should check is to see if Siri is no longer speaking to you is the voice setting. So as you can see, Siri is recognizing my iPhone when I talk, but to check this voice setting, we're going to go ahead and open the Settings app. We're going to tap on Siri. We're going to select Siri responses. And then we're going to take a look at this spoken responses. So you can choose automatic or prefer spoken responses. You might want to change it up and see if that helps with the Siri feedback. So now you can see that with a simple reset and careful setup, you can ensure Siri responds more effectively to your commands. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Any comments or questions on that one?
Does
Did she miss
anyone have
turning
trouble?
dictation back on? Did she miss turning on the dictations again?
She had a reminder to do so.
I missed that then.
The new Siri is beautiful.
Beautiful how?
On your screen, it just makes the whole screen glow and puts a colored line around the periphery of the screen.
I knew there was a real person.
So has anybody felt the need to retrain Siri? I have not.
Nope.
No, not here.
Nope.
Okay. Fourth video is Apple support. How to use writing tools with Apple Intelligence.
Starting in iOS 18.1, you can use Apple Intelligence writing tools to proofread, summarize, and rewrite text. On supported devices with Apple Intelligence enabled, writing tools are available virtually anywhere you can type, even in third-party apps. Let's explore how they work in Mail. While composing an email, tap the arrow above the keyboard to expand the toolbar. Then tap the Apple Intelligence button to access the writing tools. Here, you can use Apple Intelligence to proofread your text or rewrite it, even making it sound more friendly, professional, or concise. You can also summarize your text as a short paragraph, bullet points, a list, or a table. Let's tap Concise to get a shorter version of this email draft without changing the tone. An animation appears as Apple Intelligence analyzes the text, and when it's finished, you can read the new version. To keep the new text, tap Done. And that's how to write better with Apple Intelligence. To learn more about your iPhone, subscribe to the Apple Support YouTube channel.
Comments or questions?
It would have been nice if she had shown how to do it on your computer, on your laptop, and not just on the phone, but
They should make this available, some of the articles that are written in the newspapers.
yeah, that's right.
It works the same on the Mac if you're up to 15.1.
You can access the tools by
Usually with 15.1, if you highlight text, a little symbol shows up right next to it that triggers the writing tools.
okay.
Or you can do a right click and you can choose from the pop-up menu.
Okay, great. Thanks.
But just be sure to read what the conversion is, because it might not carry quite the inference you wanted.
Right.
It's pretty good. I've used it several times and it's been very effective.
Mhm. All right. Fifth video is Ellen Sweeney, how to set up and use the new Passwords app in iOS 18.
The Passwords app in iOS 18 makes managing your passwords much easier. It goes beyond just storing passwords. It acts as a mini security center. You can save your Wi-Fi passwords, two-factor authentication codes, and passkeys. It can even generate new secure passwords for you. Plus, it offers security tips if any of your passwords are weak or show up in a data breach. Setting up the Passwords app is simple and using it is easy, even with all the features it offers. If we haven't met, I'm Ellen from Ellen's Tips for iOS, where I help seniors master their iPhones and iPads. If you find the video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. When you first open the Passwords app, you're going to be met with a few screens that give you some information and ask you to do a couple of things. So you're going to be met with a welcome to the Passwords app screen. Then it's going to ask if you want to turn on autofill. Go ahead and do that. And then you'll tap Turn On. It'll also ask if you want to receive notifications. If you do, tap Continue. And then it'll ask you to allow notifications so that the Password app can send you notifications. And then the last thing is shared passwords and passkeys. And that'll walk you through how to set those up. I'm going to walk you through all of those features now. So after doing that, the first thing you'll want to do is open the Passwords app. So I'll go ahead and do that. You'll now see that it's a separate app in iOS 18. Previously, it was called iCloud Keychain. I'm going to go ahead and tap on the Passwords app, and you're going to be met with a lock screen, which you will either use Face ID or you'll put in your passcode to open the Passwords app. Once that occurs, this is the screen that you'll come to. So you've activated it, and here we can go ahead and explore the saved passwords that iOS 18 recognize that you already have on your device. So you'll find that the password app automatically populated with passwords and passkeys that are associated with your Apple account. Any Wi-Fi passwords that are saved in your phone will be available in the Wi-Fi tab. The only thing you won't find are two-factor authentication codes. There's no option to import your two-factor authentication keys, so you'll have to enter them manually. To add a password to the password app, you'll tap the plus sign in the bottom right corner. You'll have to fill out the website name or app or label that you want to give. You'll enter in your username, and then if I tap on password, the form should generate a password for me, and you can see that it does. You can also add notes. So the password, it'll automatically generate a secure password, but you have the option to replace it with one of your own. If you're happy with the password, you can go ahead and complete the process and go ahead and tap on save. If you don't like the pre-generated password and you don't have one of your own, you have to start the process over. So if I don't like this, I'm going to have to say cancel and go back to the plus sign and do it again. So if I tap on the plus sign, and I'm just going to type in iOS, and I'll say test, and then the username I'll put in there. I'll just say EK, and then I'll let it generate a password, and I'll say, okay, that's great. So you tap on the password in the lower, just above the keyboard, tap on that, and it'll go ahead and it'll add that to the password field. And now that I've done all that, I can go ahead and tap on save, and you'll see that password has been saved along with the label that I gave it. I can tap on all in the upper left corner, and now that will be part of my password. So that's how easy it is to go ahead and add a password to the Passwords app. To add a two-factor authentication code to the Passwords app, you'll want to go ahead and open the Codes tab, press the plus sign in the lower right corner. Here, you'll either enter your setup key or select Scan QR code with camera. If you have a setup key, you can type it or paste it into the setup key box. If you want to scan a QR code to add two-factor authentication, which is more common, you'll tap Scan QR code and the camera will open, and you'll go ahead and scan the QR code by pointing your camera at the code, and the iPhone will detect it and scan it. And then once you do that, you'll go ahead and you'll add it to the Passwords app. You can share your passwords in iOS 18 with family members or friends that you trust and that there's a connection with the passwords. So to do that, what we'll want to do is tap on New Group under the Shared Group option. So once I tap on New Group, I can go ahead, read a little bit about it. I'm going to go ahead and tap on Continue. And now I'm going to add people to the group. Well, let's give the group a name. Sorry, let's give the group a name. I'm just going to call it Family. And now I'm going to add people. This is going to take me into my Messages app. And I'm going to go ahead and just choose a message, and it has a bunch of people in it that are family. And here's what you're going to see. Some members from the group cannot be invited because their devices are not up to date. So if you pick someone to share your passwords with and this option pops up, it's because they have not updated their device. It has to be at least iOS 17, but I'm going to go ahead and tap OK, and a few of those people are going to be added. Once that occurs, I can go ahead and tap on Add at the top. And now those group of people have been added to my password group, and I can go ahead and say Create. When I tap on Create, it's going to create that group for me. And now it takes me into the passwords that are saved on the password app, and I can choose the ones that I want to share with them. So maybe you have a Netflix account that you want to share, or maybe it's passwords that you want to share for, I don't know, banking with your children or something to that effect. These are passwords that you want to share with other people so they can use them and you can use them all from this shared group. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick a few of these. And then I'll go ahead and say move. And it's going to move these to that shared group. And so now it says, do I want to notify by messages? Most of the time, you would want to choose yes, notify via message. I'm not going to do that because this is a test group. I'm going to say not now. I'm going to tap on that. And now you'll see that there are 10 members in the group. I've shared with them 3 different passwords. If I wanted to add more passwords, I would just tap on the plus sign and it's going to ask me move passwords to the group or new password. I can choose that and then I can add a new password if I want, or if I tap on plus, I can choose move passwords to the group, and then that's going to give me a list of all my passwords. I can go ahead and choose one and say move, and then that password will be added to the group. When I'm finished, I can go ahead and come back, and you'll see now that I have this shared group called family. That's how easy it is to create a shared password group with people that you trust, with passwords that you need to share among each other. The Passwords app also has you covered when it comes to security. If I tap on where it says security, these are passwords that it has located that may be compromised. And so if I tap into one of them, I can change the password, I can hide it, I can edit it, but it's going to give you an idea of what passwords may be compromised on your device. If I want to delete a password, I'll tap on all, I'll swipe to the left, I'll tap on delete, I'll go ahead and tap delete password. And then when I tap on passwords in the upper left corner, you'll see that there has been one password that has been deleted. It'll remain there for approximately 30 days, and then it will be deleted permanently. I can also come back in here and swipe, and I can recover that password, and then it'll add it right back into the Passwords app. So Apple has really thought about how they want this Passwords app to work. And for most people, this is going to be the Passwords app that you use. The Passwords app in iOS 18 is a powerful tool that simplifies managing your online security. It's not just about saving your passwords. It helps you stay safe by offering secure password suggestions, storing your Wi-Fi and two-factor authentication information, and even alerting you to potential security risks. While it may seem complex, setting it up is straightforward, and once in place, it's easy to use. For those of you looking to share passwords with family or friends, the app even allows you to create shared groups for safe password sharing. It's a great resource to keep your online accounts secure and organized. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Well, any comments or questions on that one?
Well, I have a question. How's it going to work with one password? Do you have to decide between them?
Same as it works now. It's just a
It
new
works pretty
interface.
well.
It's just all it is a new interface with a separate app to the existing password manager that's been in the Mac for years.
Yeah, it's just another password manager. Now, you can take your information from 1Password and export it and then import it into that, but it would be one or the other, or you could have both run in parallel.
It seems like Apple's password is working just fine with 1Password. I expected to see them fighting with each other, but they seem to get along.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
when
this is
when you say working together, what do you mean, Jan?
well, sometimes it puts in the password from Apple, but usually it's from 1Password, but sometimes it gets it from
Sometimes
Apple.
it pops up if you have it set. It will ask you to save the password in one or other or the both, and then you end up with passwords in two different places. They're not synchronized. They don't talk to each other or anything like that.
All right. It doesn't sound like a great idea to have both. But
Well,
how does it compare? I mean, 1Password has so many other things you can keep in it besides passwords.
it's a little more transparent and a little easier. Example, I have with my medical plan, I have a thing called My Chart. And My Chart requires me to use a sign-in, user ID, and a password. I have that information stored in 1Password and I can access it, but it requires a couple of clicks. On due to the fact that I also put that information in the new Passwords app in Apple, now when I open up My Chart, I can click login and up comes the password icon. I click that and I'm in.
So is that on iOS or on your Mac?
Both.
Because the My Chart app opens with Face ID. I never have to type my password there.
You know, come to think of it, you're right. It does do Face ID on my iOS.
It does.
Yeah, it does. On the Mac, it shows the little double key icon and you just click it and it's in. You're right.
So my problem with this new password app is the same thing as my problem with the keychain before that for password,
Sure.
which is that I don't want to use a longer, more difficult device passcode. I have a 6-digit number. And obviously I use Face ID to open my phone most of the time. But if I'm wearing a mask or I'm wearing my CPAP, then I need to type my password every time. So I don't want more than a 6-digit numeric. And that doesn't seem like enough to detect.
Why do you have to type in your password when you're wearing a mask?
Because I have to. It doesn't recognize.
Well, mine does. It gave me a second shot. It said, now, do you want to have Face ID recognize you with a mask?
Well, you have a newer device.
Oh, okay.
Older devices don't have that feature. I have an iPhone 11 still.
I also noticed she doesn't mention Touch ID. Some of us still have devices with Touch ID.
It works with Touch ID
Yeah, but she forgot to say that.
Right.
You know what I noticed is that she kept saying how to add a password into the password app. The thing is, by adding a password to a random website does not make that a password for that website.
That's
You
not the
have
way
to
you
actually-
add password. You're correct. That's not the way you add passwords to anything. You go to the website, enter your password, and then ask you if you want to save it. It has to have the URL. You don't just type it in. You can type it in, but you're likely to get it wrong.
Yeah. But one thing about, go ahead.
It's just gonna, if you next time you try to log into it, it's gonna tell you that's the wrong password, and It's going to give you the option to change password.
I
But
don't put critical passwords in that password manager because I have a simple password on my computers. And this is, I think Kenji has raised this issue before, that you can get into any of your passwords if you just know if you're using a 4-digit code to get into your computer. That's kind of easy to defeat. So I don't, for instance, keep my banking or my brokerage information in that password manager. I'd keep it in one password.
I use a macro program for my passwords and just a key combination on the keyboard to enter my passwords for various sites. And then I make the macro program invisible so nobody knows it's there if they get my computer.
Good idea.
So that's interesting, Rick, that you decide whether it's a critical password or not as to which way you save it.
True. Yeah, I mean it's a personal decision. So what might seem critical to me may not be critical to you. I don't know. But it's a decision one must make individually, I think.
Yeah, I look at my list of hundreds and hundreds of saved passwords, and a lot of them will say, like the Watchtower feature in 1Password, will say they're on the dark web or that I've reused them many times, but they don't matter because they're a login to some website that I probably will never log in again and haven't logged in years. And who cares?
Thanks, Carolyn.
All right.
Some questions about the program, or we on miscellanea? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just mulling over what Kenji was saying about the passcode that he has to type in, and I know that I used the keychain and now the password the Apple Password Manager, and when it did put in highly secured password, and there's a website out there that does not take dashes. I was actually able to edit it right there and then, edit out the dashes, and the password was taken without the dashes. So I believe you can actually edit all the stuff out as much as possible in something that you can remember, like 6 digits or 6 character or something like that. Because I was able to edit out the dashes.
The Passwords app, when it offers to create a password when you're creating a new account, it gives you the option of choosing one that doesn't use special characters.
Mm-hmm.
Any more comments about, oh, we got miscellanea. We can move on. Miscellanea?
Okay, we'll move on. Moving on to miscellany. One miscellany item, MacBook Time Machine backs up internally when external Time Machine disk is not attached. Now, we've discussed this once or twice before on our Zoom meetings, but I thought that this sort of explanation really helped to understand it. So here we go. The below article by Harry Guinness in How to Geek explains the feature. With Time Machine backup disk attached, Time Machine keeps a collection of hourly, daily, and weekly backups. Hourly backups are kept for 24 hours, daily backups are kept for 1 month, and weekly backups are kept indefinitely as long as there is space on your Time Machine drive. Now, called local snapshots, When your backup disk is not connected, Time Machine can't save any information, so it stores the backup data on your startup disk as a local snapshot. When you connect your Time Machine drive, the backups are copied across to it. Local snapshots aren't a true backup, of course, since the information is all stored on the same disk. If your hard drive gets damaged, they'll vanish along with every other bit of data. But local snapshots can still be useful for restoring corrupted or accidentally deleted files. If a Word backup, document, for instance, goes bad while you're working on it, which is the data disaster that inspired this article, you can jump into Time Machine and restore a version that is, at most, 1 hour old. Without your Time Machine drive connected for an extended period, you'll only be able to browse backups that list as a local snapshot. If you keep a relatively empty hard drive, these could be back for months. So if you have got a MacBook and you haven't been doing backups with it, you're still backed up for as much as your hard disk will drive, hard drive will hold. And so you kind of have a backup for could be months. So comments or questions?
And this can be a bad thing if you don't realize. We've had people come to the clinic, and I've had clients like, if they don't have a backup, they never set it up, or they haven't used it in months or years, it will do these local backups until it fills your hard drive and you're out of space and your computer stops working.
But even if you have a Time Machine connected and active, it'll still do local snapshots on your internal drive.
Yeah, so I've seen many times it will, and they're invisible. You can't see them.
Yeah, you can get rid of them through terminal, but that's about.
There are programs that'll clean your local backups out.
Yeah.
So if you have local backups stored on local snapshots, when you connect your Time Machine drive, it says those will be moved to the external drive, to the target drive. Will they then automatically delete the local snapshots?
That's my understanding.
It's supposed to, but I've seen it not do that.
Yeah, I think it copies them, but I don't know that it moves them.
Every time I've looked, I've seen between 12 and 15 local snapshots.
And how do you see them?
If you go if you start up in recovery and use repair, you'll see it go through checking each of the snapshots.
There's a terminal command to view the list of them, and
yeah, you can do it in terminal. There's some utilities that'll show it to you.
There's some utilities that will clear your local backups.
Yeah, Cocktail is one of them.
That's an excellent reason to never buy a 256 gig Mac.
Well, this is supposedly this is a feature that's supposedly work with MacBooks. So you're not at home, you don't have your backup, so you leave the house, and so it backs up when you don't have it. It's supposed to be a feature, but it can go haywire. Especially if you don't, we literally had somebody come to the clinic who never had a Time Machine backup, and their hard drive was full to the computer didn't work because it was full of these local backups. And they didn't have any idea what was going on. Doesn't tell you, there's no visible queue, they're not visible on your hard drive.
Well, it seems to me that if it does not remove them as it accepts them, that is to say, if your external drive does not remove them as it accepts them, that we all have the trouble of a full disk, internal disk.
No, my understanding is it didn't move them when you did it, when it plugged in your Time Machine drive. It deleted the internal ones. I never heard that it moved them to the external. That's the first I've ever heard that.
I always thought it moved to the external, and it just builds back up again.
Well, it starts over, but it doesn't move the ones it deletes the ones that made on the internal. It doesn't move them over to your external so you can have them. It just deletes them.
Well, this article clearly states that it does do that.
I think it does move to the external.
Yes.
I would like to see some documentation on that because I've never heard that. All I've ever heard is when you plug it in, it recovers and starts backing up on the external and deletes the internal. They're removed from the internal, but I'd have to see.
But the last time I did it, I had 15 internals and my external is constantly connected because it's a desktop.
Yeah, it can go haywire.
But I've always seen multiple internals.
No, it's worth to notice that if that only happens when you have Time Machine turned on. If you have turned off, if you have it turned off, then
right,
nothing's saved. But if you have it turned on and not connected to the hard drive, it's just going to keep saving on snapshots.
Supposedly that's one way to clean it up when it happens is to turn Time Machine off. And it's supposed to clean them up and then you turn it back on with the external. That's also, I've heard that too. Yep.
So from a Apple support page, your Mac counts the space used by snapshots as available storage. You don't need to think about how much storage space local snapshots are using because they don't use the space needed for tasks like downloading files, copying files, or storing new software. Even so, Time Machine stores snapshots only on disks that have plenty of free space. Time Machine automatically deletes snapshots as they age or as space is needed for other things. But if you want to delete local snapshots manually, turn off automatic backups temporarily, and then it gives you some instructions.
Right.
I'll put that link in the chat for anybody who wants it.
Well, if I'm hearing you correctly, Kenji, that says that they continue to be there and they're functionally accessible by way of Time Machine. But in fact, if the machine needs that space for any other business, it overrides them.
That's what it seems to say, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it shouldn't disable the machine.
Okay, let's move on. That's enough of that. That's the last thing. You can end your screen share.
The questions and answers.
So we'll end this. Let me end this recording and move on to the Q&A. So anybody who's watching this on the DVMUG members, you can find the link to the Q&A coming up next. The recording will be on the BBS, and I will stop this.